This is a bottom-up financial revolution. This is a movement that breaks faith in centralization. Revival and chaos are merely the beginning of a new order, and collapse is nothing more than the curtain call for the old paradigm. Code is law. The crypto world returns sovereignty to individuals and lets computing power reshape trust. Welcome to Secret Talk. So what exactly is the concept of Web 3.0? Compared to the traditional Web 2.0 we use today, it introduces the critical element of digital value. While Web 2.0 can only transmit information, Web 3.0 allows us to actually transfer value directly. But how do you actually enter this new world of Web 3.0? There is a very high barrier to entry here, and that is the significant barrier of technical understanding and conceptual knowledge.
So moving from Web 2 to Web 3 requires crossing that barrier. It's still quite challenging, especially if you're just starting out now. If you don't take the time to learn and understand this industry, you'll gradually avoid it altogether. In this era, we want to use a conversational approach, a relaxed way to let people from Web 2 also get a taste of Web 3, and then enter the world that we must be a part of.
You're now watching Secret Talk, which so far has the highest production cost among all Web3 shows. It's also the talk show with the highest level of guests. We hope that this relaxed talk show style of conversation can bring you into a very accessible Web3 world. We want to thank Gate for fully sponsoring the first season of Secret Talk. There's a QR code on the screen. Everyone can scan it to download the Gate app. First, let me introduce Matera's CEO, Kaji Jessica. Next, we have Kevin, the CBO of Gate. His face is basically the face of Gate. And then we have Eric, the very well-known head of Sandbox Asia. From what I understand, Sandbox is essentially an original Web3 product. Is that right? Its positioning is Web3?
Actually, yes. But it actually had a predecessor. Sandbox was originally a mobile platform.
That's right.
And then, because of Web3, we entered the Web3 space.
It became a top platform for trading land.
Then there are virtual assets. And how do you actually use this specific token?
Actually, we've all been in Web3 for a long time. I got into it in 2016, right? 2017, 2018, and Kagi also got in around then. He was even earlier in 2013. In terms of administrative level, you all are at the top. My administrative level is the lowest. We're basically self-media in the crypto circle, hustling on our own to generate our own GDP.
Reporter Xiaoyang.
Yeah, and we often joke about this among ourselves. Our team, is made up of TV industry workers. Everyone here has worked on major reality shows. We're here to record a talk show, and honestly, everyone present is someone who's seen the world. But then one day, our director suddenly asked me, what exactly is Web3? After listening to your conversations, they just wanted to know. Let's take a vote and see. So what exactly is Web3? Can we issue a secret chat token? I think this is the right question because we've been talking about Web3 every day, and we've been doing this show for 4 years now. If someone asks me how to download a wallet, I inexplicably get annoyed. But then I realized that's not right. Maybe they only just got into this world last week. And there are just some basic questions that need to be addressed. So I think our show can't go too far ahead. We definitely need to pull our perspective back. We need to first address everyone's basic questions. What exactly is Web3? We've been hyped about it for so many years. And maybe everyone has their own understanding of Web3. So let's first invite Sister Ka, who came from North America, to join us. Could you explain to us in your mind, or as you see it, what exactly is Web3? According to the definition of Web3.
I often say it doesn't exist. Truth doesn't exist, just perspectives.
Right.
This is a fundamental first principle that I strongly agree with. So I believe that 100 people will have 100 different interpretations of Web3, especially when this term is placed in an international context. In North America, there really is not such a term, Web 3.0 or Web 3.0. We almost never hear it mentioned in any public setting. But they do mention terms like cryptocurrency and digital asset quite a lot. So perhaps in my understanding, especially since I've lived in New York for many years, New York, the understanding there is much more financially and economically oriented. In terms of application, in the Asia-Pacific region, I think the use of the term Web3 is especially common. However, in the latest Hong Kong Policy Declaration 2.0, the concept of digital assets was introduced. And this concept is now becoming increasingly well-known and accepted. So I feel that, in fact, it's really just a matter of how we define Web3. Depending on the scope we set, if we look at it from an Asia-Pacific perspective, as for Web3 and digital assets, I think Web3 is broader. For example, something like DePIN, which we often see, actually falls under the umbrella of Web3. When we talk about digital assets at this moment in time, we're referring to a large number of stablecoin assets being put on-chain. Then as more assets are put on-chain, they become digital assets. So this concept is actually narrower. Personally, I prefer to use the term Web3 because I think it might better align with what we mentioned earlier. The concept of technological revolution is a paradigm shift and transition, signaling the arrival of a new era. If we take a step back and look globally, when we talk about Web3 and Web2, it's essentially just a new generation of the internet and computer science formed by the previous round of technological revolution, the new paradigm in the long term and the new challenges brought by Web3. So Web 3.0 is undoubtedly an upgrade from Web 2. In this context, decentralization and traceability become possible. And then all assets are put on-chain. These all form the core of Web 3. This is my distinction between Web 3 and Web 2. My main understanding of distinguishing between the two is to recognize or define something. When it comes to concepts, you have to look at them in context rather than understanding them in isolation. So I offer a comparison between North America and Asia, as well as between Web 2 and Web 3 to help everyone better understand Web 3. This concept.
Kevin?
Personally, I really don't like the celebrity status of Web3.
I don't like 3.
It's just a random number. It's not really because of that. Honestly, I don't even know who came up with this idea.
It said that 3.0 was proposed by a Chinese person.
That concept, like 2.0 is better than 3.0, but I think Web3 isn't just an interval, it's a huge field. Back in the Web 1 era, we could only read, just view content, without being able to share or contribute ourselves. Web 2 was all about sharing. Web 3 is about having ownership, having your own part. That's my definition, and it's something everyone knows. But if you say it's about decentralization or owning your own stuff, are your projects really yours? Aren't you still using X? Aren't you still using Telegram? Those are Web 2.0 things. And if you go the other way, aren't you using AI now? Even ChatGPT it's not really decentralized or truly your own either. So I think if you look at it as 1, 2, 3 like that, there's no such thing as 2.5, 2.7 or 3.1. Those concepts don't really exist, but in reality we do have them.
So you think Web 3 is a pseudo concept?
Yeah.
It's already there, no matter how you define it.
I think maybe 2 years ago it was still okay to talk about, but now, or in a few years, it won't be. Our Web 3 actually already includes everything. It's all within the web. Everything we have, including AI now, is also part of Web 3. So I think that's a very good thing. But I think in a few years, we might stop talking about this, or maybe switch to calling it the open web, because people always want to talk about Web 4 or Web 5. So in that sense, it's kind of inseparable now.
What about you, Eric?
I feel like actually there weren't really any important concepts before either. If you say I'm currently living in the era of Web 2.0, my understanding is that first of all, coding is what defines the whole environment, and then there's a very important aspect, which is the community. So how does the community work together to create all the content within this environment? How people understand and how they own things, this is very different from before. In the past, what people focused on was probably, now I have a platform where I can share a lot of content, all kinds of things, but its value lies in where is it? How does it belong to a particular person? The words I say today, how are they defined? In fact, all these things might actually belong to the platform. And then how do these credentials drive further developments? In the past, when you were on some platforms, you would participate in social media. People wouldn't consider whether my identity has value or whether the content I post has value. For example, today, if I participate in a project or invest in some projects, I might receive some digital assets and I have certain rights. How do I handle them? How do I allocate them? I might even use them to create something new. I think there's no need to make it too complicated. It's just an evolution. Because, for example, when I was a kid, I actually didn't have a mobile phone or these platforms. But after they appeared, users' habits and all sorts of things changed a lot compared to before. Maybe back then, e-banking was a very unfamiliar concept to everyone. But because we have these devices now, it has become something completely natural. Similarly, in the future, Web 3 will also have many devices and many different platforms. To support everyone, people won't bother distinguishing anymore. Am I even using it now? Some aspects of Web 3, kids today are becoming more and more digital natives. So for them, the transition will definitely be seamless.
They'll basically be natives of Web 3, right? We won't need to explain it to the new generation anymore. Like today you're using Web 3, that one is Web 3, Web 2, or Web 1.
They'll find it strange. Why? It's just something I use every day.
Just like now, no one thinks I'm going online.
That is correct.
Exactly.
It's the same concept. If you try to explain it to someone who has never been online before, they just won't get it at all. But as things keep evolving, it will just become a habit, a way of life for them.
For example, right now, I do not really feel like I am using Web 3 to verify my digital identity. But after listening to everyone talk, do you all understand what Web 3 is now? Or are you even more confused about what Web 3 actually is? When I was making short videos before, I think forcing myself to explain something clearly in 1 minute to solve it in 1 minute. What is Bitcoin? Solved in 1 minute. What is Web 3? My concept is that I can explain it to everyone in one sentence. Web 1 can be understood as the earliest stage of the internet. At that time, you could only look up information in one direction, like a big almanac, a phone book just sitting there. So you could look up which company's phone number was what. You could only see Alibaba's phone number and call them from there. With Web 2, there was interaction. You could leave comments, you could post to your moments, you could exchange information with others. There was two-way interaction. You could give to them and they could give to you. With social media, with these apps, with express delivery, with food delivery, all of that became possible. These are what we call Web 2. So what is Web 3? Web 3 solves the problem that Web 2 could not solve, the issue of transmission. For example, when we send emails, I can reach you through email. You can receive my videos, audio, pictures, sound, and text, all of it. But Web 2 can't transmit one thing. I can't send an email and have Sister Car in North America receive $1 US. It can't transmit value. So Web 3 solves the problem of value transmission. Now I can transfer money over the internet. So this is the value of Web 3. Web 3 is essentially an internet of money. So as one teacher said, the world is three-dimensional on the outside, but Web 3 is four-dimensional. It adds something extra, an ingredient called trust and another called value. In this medicine, there's an extra Chinese herb, which is trust and value. All of you here are veterans in Web 3, experienced professionals with high-level positions. Have you ever experienced a moment when Web 3 or your product changed someone, helping them to better understand this new thing, taking them to a new stage of understanding? Kaijie?
Oh, you really hit the nail on the head with that question. Well then, if I have to give an example, then let me talk about this. Let's talk about Meteora first, because Meteora is a comprehensive media and market platform. I've been at Meteora for about 8 months now, and basically from the very beginning, I saw people sporadically sharing and forwarding some things. From news to now, basically every day I see people on X or on WeChat sharing our news on various platforms. I'm already used to it. It's more surprising if they don't share it. For example, the current big trend of stablecoins. Here, a large number of people from mainland China or Hong Kong, securities firms, or other traditional large institutions come to us and ask if we can hold a seminar together. They want to learn about stablecoins. They hope to participate in this major reform or transformation. So if previously crypto or Web 3 was just a carnival for a small group of people, of course, it also created a rather magical trickle-down effect. Teacher Michael is one of the beneficiaries indeed. So I think now we've entered a period of mass participation, because in the past we used to say, for example, an ordinary user, he might have the habit of trading stocks, or he might have an investment habit, investing in real estate or in financial products with better liquidity in the financial markets, or simply managing their finances. But now from that very first wave of people who joined Web 3, their first stop was, we chose Bitcoin for stable coins, but it's hard to guarantee they're truly stable. And most people can't understand it, nor do they possess the necessary knowledge. Investment value is a kind of application value. That's why more and more Bitcoin derivatives have emerged, like ETF products or fund products, or all kinds of comprehensive financial products that use Bitcoin as the underlying asset. Its level of adoption among the general public is becoming even broader. Major economies like the United States and Hong Kong, China have now introduced stablecoin legislation. So various large financial institutions and state-owned enterprises are entering the market to help build it. I believe that perhaps we are already inside the door. That is, the general public's adoption of stablecoins. In the future, it will be just like how we use US dollars, Hong Kong dollars, and RMB today. So much of what we are doing is about spreading awareness and education. This market is changing people's usage habits and lifestyles to adapt to this powerful current. So if we have to name a #1 priority, I believe that education and outreach are extremely crucial in this era. In the past, we used to say that Web3 would only affect some old money, but now we say that Web3 is moving toward the general public. Recently, we've been collaborating with some brokerage firms. A large number of state-owned enterprises and many senior executives from the banking system have been reaching out to us. They come and say, "Give me a chance to learn. We need to catch up quickly. We've already fallen too far behind." This is when I truly felt the power of the times and the major trends. The force it brings.
The spreading. When it comes to communication, I really think we need a lot of accurate information. We need to tell everyone how to understand this world. Don't just come in thinking it's all about trading, trading, trading. In fact, besides trading, there are many other interesting things. For example, sandbox.
Yes, exactly, because when we talk about sandbox, everyone thinks it's just about buying land. Maybe 2 years ago, everyone thought that getting a piece of land in sandbox was extremely difficult because people felt that sandbox was more familiar to the general public with lots of IPs and brands, including banks from Hong Kong and even the MTR and power companies in Hong Kong, and even McDonald's, it seems. All kinds of industries have done something in sandbox, so at that time everyone had a very strong impression. So is the metaverse really the trend of the future, and does everyone need to buy a piece of land? Because I think what everyone understands is that the land in sandbox is actually quite similar to the whole BTC ecosystem. It's limited. Once it's sold, there's one less piece available. Of course, the landowners themselves can still trade their land.
The skyrocketing price of land in sandbox. You had a really dramatic phase. A lot of celebrities were your users, right? But when the prices crashed badly in the end, that was also a big deal. It was a major news story.
Yes, that's right.
Did that have any impact on you in terms of user perception or the token?
There will definitely be significant fluctuations. Actually, if our only goal was to sell land, we should have sold all the land 2 years ago. Then we would have nothing left to do, but we did not do that. Our plan is to keep releasing and selling land until 2027. So actually, if you look at Sandbox, every time they sell land, they only open up a small section. That's how people buy. And each time, each section has its own theme. For example, right now we have a sports-themed concept. Within it, there will be Sherry Soleil, which is this world-renowned circus. And there will also be Japanese brands like Casio. Why do these brands want to have a piece of land in Sandbox? This is something many people don't understand. On the flip side, you can try to understand it this way. Actually, Sandbox is also a relatively low barrier entry point for these brands.
They're coming in and trying to understand it. What is Web3, or rather this tokenization approach in virtual worlds? Of course, Web3. In Web3, everything can be tokenized. Everything can be quantified by issuing tokens. But this is also often the original sin that people criticize Web3 for. Everything can be tokenized. I can issue tokens for my virtual land, but is there practical value? MetaRay might issue a token later, like Gate. They already have a platform token. BTV will definitely issue one too. How do we view easy Web3 token fundraising? Does it help or hurt industry perception that issuing a token is now so simple?
If we're simply talking about how easy it is to issue a token, then of course, that's not wrong. But is it really that easy? In reality, behind the scenes, every project actually have a lot of rationales, arrangements, or certain ideas that need to be incorporated. Otherwise, this token, as you said, is indeed very easy to create. But where does its value come from? Why do Sand's land and the Sand token still have value? Even though their volatility is high, we have always been working on these things, using digital access to do even more. Actually, our main focus should be on development. We believe that the entire metaverse should have different kinds of content, different things. But its content shouldn't just come from brands alone. It should also come from some users and some communities. So actually, we define Sample as a UGC platform. We need ideas from different people all over the world.
Just like in the real world where developers hoard land, in the virtual world, it's the same. Don't just look at the thief eating meat, but also at the times when the thief gets beaten up. Yeah. So how do we view development? In Web3, we can just issue tokens at will.
About this just now, I've been thinking about this question all along. We're people from the crypto world. At the beginning, it was all about buying and selling, all about trading, all about investing. But Web3 offers a possibility. It opens up this field. I'm also that kind of person myself. Over the past few years, there have been different Web3 application scenarios. I want to try them all myself, like Socialify or going to other Web3 platforms, writing, music, whatever. If you want to create something, you can make your own music. Gaming is my favorite, and that's possible too. Or even whiskey NFTs. We all love drinking. But the final issue is that you put everything on Web3. When it's up there, a lot of the community just wants to make money. When making money becomes the focus, it changes the original concept. When I play video games, what I love is just the games themselves. The fun comes from the content or the visuals. If you say that when I play video games, I also want to make money, then I'd rather just trade on a crypto platform. I think that's actually the reason why so many business projects end up failing, because their audience is just thinking, when can I double my money with this game? Like you mentioned earlier, selling land. I'm not really creating anything. I'm just thinking about when I can sell the land I bought for a profit. That's the case with a lot of these projects. The project can't withstand this kind of pressure, so it ends up heading in that direction. And then there's another situation. Another way projects fail is when they think they're truly native. They insist on separating themselves, refusing to be grouped together with Web 2. For example, I've tried it myself. I wanted to create a purely native platform here. So as a creator, I would come to my own platform to write. But when I look at the content, I wonder, how is this any different from Twitter or X? If it fails, it's all the same. Even now, a lot of people are using it. Why? Because it's still grouped together with X, still connected to Web 2. There's still a place where they're connected, but it can also be a platform for sharing value. So I think in terms of application scenarios, we can see a lot of them within Web3, but we are still in the early stages. For users, growth is the best positioning. The platform side is also growing, so the best positioning is to first, maybe you can find meta era or you can find something else. It really depends on how we must look to the future. So it's about how to find the right place, right?
So Kaiji, will Meta Era issue a token?
That's a very good question. I'll talk about this topic at the end. We'll still discuss the issue of token issuance. When we talk about issuing tokens, I think it's actually a kind of financial activity, because issuing a token means putting it on the primary market and the secondary market. And then I was actually just thinking about something, because I've always been a clear-headed optimist. I believe the native spirit of Web3 is, if I say I can do it, if I want to do it, and if I make it big, then I can do it. Anyone can issue a coin, like Tezos did before leading. Only then do people discuss if you're compliant. This fits the native Web3 spirit. Secondly, how do we control financial risks and regulation, right? Who issues the license for stable coins, and who will decide how the entire market order is established, as well as which major players can enter? It's basically saying, you can do it only if I say you can. This is all for the sake of the market. Risk control or the issue of maintaining order. So I think these are two separate topics, allowing the economic and financial markets to remain dynamic. Let those who believe they can succeed step forward and give them a chance. If they make it big, you can decide whether or not to regulate them, and you can oversee them from above. You can implement a layer of control. Because only when it grows large enough will it start to impact our international livelihood and daily lives. It will affect the general public, ordinary people, so I think anyone should be allowed to issue coins. From former celebrities, or KOLs, individuals issuing some memes. There was a period of time like that. What president coins, celebrity coins, and then all these weird and bizarre types of meme coins, just pure ones. Animal coins, plant coins, fruit coins that have absolutely no meaning. I actually think it's very hard for these kinds of coins to find a way forward. But in the US, if the president stands up and says, I acknowledge Trump coin, then it can gain traction and create an effect where people start discussing whether it's compliant or not.
$80 billion in 3 days. Trump's first round of statistics probably came from the crypto community, right?
But even earlier than that, actually, back in the days of Nash, when they were raising funds with Bitcoin during the Will era, actually there was already a pretty good bonus effect. So coming back to the topic, I think issuing coins isn't a bad thing. For those with a certain scale and volume, or above a certain multiple, the execution is quite good. How do regulators know how to regulate? Actually, it's also driven by those issuing coins, only when the market becomes active first. Regulators say, I need to step in and manage this. Otherwise, they have no motivation to oversee the market. So I think everything that exists is reasonable. Back to the final question. Will Materia issue a coin? Actually, I want to leave everyone with a bit of suspense, because Materia has been extremely active in the entire market over the past 2 years. We have also received a lot of support from everyone. We've worked hard, and we're seeking innovative financial solutions. Solution release.
For the solution, follow Sister Cars
on the social media platform Twitter.
Follow Matiar. When you issue a token, come to us first. Our community can help absorb at least 20% to 30% of your tokens. Our community is full of finance enthusiasts, really great people. When it comes to token issuance, I think any innovation or revolution in this world always starts with finance, and as long as you are in it, finance always takes the lead. You just don't have any standards to choose from. In the crypto world, do we have standards? Yes, but those are all standards that came later. Regulation always lags behind technology, especially in finance. This revolution...
Michael, you and your friends really embody the values I appreciate. There's a saying, a gentleman loves wealth, but acquires it in the right way.
Earning money with integrity is more important than anything else.
Interest and passion are the most beautiful things in the world. They drive human progress.
That's right. So let's take a big step back. People always say, you guys are just here to fleece the newbies. There are so many worthless, messy shitcoins. If it didn't exist, just think about what would happen. So everyone, don't demonize it and don't be afraid of it either. This is an incentive mechanism that applies to everything in the world. If this ecosystem doesn't issue tokens, then there would be no incentive mechanism. If people can't participate, then the only thing left is to invest money, right? Once I've invested, I start paying attention. I put my money into Gate, so every day I have to check whether my coins have gone up or not, right? If I bought land in Sunbox, I have to check on it. Did a McDonald's open next to my land today?
Who's my neighbor? Who's living next to me?
After I bought Metal's token, I have to check on it too. This is great. It's a hot topic, right? If he doesn't follow up, hurry and let sister at Siaka know. If this time it's not reported, then I'll be the one who makes it happen. I'll be one of the participants. Because I hold their tokens, it's like I own their stock. I just hope this thing can develop in a positive direction. So, a Web3 without tokens, what is that? Just a PowerPoint? Innovation hanging on the wall for when the leaders come by. Look at our metaverse town, our metaverse. I've received a lot of requests to build a metaverse town like this. They say, why don't you move your business here? I ask, do you even know what the metaverse is? Do you know what Web3 means? All these Web3 companies are supposed to move in. I said, Web3 needs to issue tokens. Can you do that? And the other person said, issue tokens? I said, yes, you have to issue tokens. I asked, will you issue me a license? And they said, we don't handle that. We just take care of leasing. I said, all right, let's stay in touch. From beginning to end, they never understood what Web3 is, what a token is, or what issuing tokens means. They just ignored it. The issue we practitioners care about most is how we can help everyone understand, accept, and also ensure that the regulators can comprehend these issues.
And issuing tokens is very important. Actually, when it comes to the concept for everyone, today it's not just about simply owning this stock, but about having the right to make changes to its future direction.
It is the carrier of consensus?
Right.
So in fact, it is something that must exist. Otherwise, that understanding wouldn't be there. It's not like I could just today, for example, there are many ways to invest, but some investments are passive. You just buy something and leave it there. Then you think maybe in 50 years it will yield something, but you have no influence over it at all, no ability to change it. But with many Web3 projects, you can actually participate in them directly.
That's right, but everyone now understands this trend. Issuing tokens in Web3 is not about taking advantage of newcomers. It's actually an incentive mechanism, but everyone can participate deeply in the behavioral mechanism. But the trends in Web3 change way too quickly. Let's say we want to catch a trend. Let me give you an example. After Trump issued his coin and after Miley issued his coin, there were celebrity tokens. Actually, this is a trend. Celebrity tokens are a really good trend. Then our community received a lot of invitations for promotion. We were invited to participate in launching tokens together, and among them, one company made a big move and signed a world-famous superstar. Now I can talk about it because the contract has already been terminated, Justin Bieber. He was going to launch a fan token, and his fans are absolutely crazy, right? Do you know how hard it is to sign a contract with a superstar? I went to Singapore twice, and I went to LA twice just to discuss the contract details. When the contract was finally signed, I felt
the window of opportunity was gone.
If you have to pay such a high price to secure this superstar contract, then launching this token is bound to lose money. It's pure PvP. The patience of these young investors has already gone from 3 days to 2 days to 1 day to just 4 hours. It's getting shorter and shorter. So I just kept on waiting. I told that company, are you sure you want to spend so much to sign this after I promote it? There won't be any problems. Our resources will all be available to you. You could do whatever you wanted, but in the end, they terminated the contract after spending a lot of money. They signed a small preliminary agreement and then spent more money to terminate that preliminary agreement. So I feel like this trend really passed too quickly. From Trump to the end, it was less than half a year, just 3 months, and the trend was already over. Okay, before we could even catch this wave, the next one had already arrived. But today we want to go back to the basics and help everyone with this. Let's sort out the path of Web3. What does issuing a token solve? What does it mean to issue a coin? And also address the issue of bringing things back on the books. So where exactly does the value of NFTs lie? Up to now, as people from the new world, as Web2 people, how should we understand NFTs? Does this concept still have value?
I think the value of NFTs lies in their applications. Behind the scenarios, NFT is still essentially a smart contract. The best example is digital artists. What was the problem before NFTs? It was that when an artist wanted to release a piece of art, it would just be